Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm back with another video, and this is going to be part 5 to What If Naruto Was an Older Brother. And I'm really sorry for the late uploads, guys, and for keeping you guys wait for so long. The thing is, I have exams right around the corner, and gotta keep my priorities straight, so it's going to be hard to balance this with that. I will try my best to complete the series, by the 10th of September, but I can't really make a promise here. And I'm sorry for said giving you guys some like expectations on when my next video will come out and like not sticking to them. I say that it's gonna come out one day and it comes out like a week later. I'm really sorry about that happening, guys, but yeah, it gets busy around here. Nothing else I can say. So, anyways, uh, we left off the last part at the second stage of the tuning exams, and like all the teams that passed the first stage were getting ready for the second stage, and yeah. So let's get started with this part. So, Naruto, Itachi, and Anko, as well as all the other teams, they were well rested and well fed by the time the next exam started. They had their breakfast and they did their morning routines and all that stuff. So all of that was done, and they were getting ready to start the second part of the tuning exams. So, as all of them were assembled in the room, Fuguki came in and was like, "Alright, brats, time for you to start the second stage of the tuning exams." And boy, it's gonna get tricky here. It would make me so happy to see some of you eaten by the sharks in the sea. Your goal for the second stage is to make it from this island to the next island, which is 300 kilometers from here. There are several small islands that are littered throughout the sea. In between these two islands, and we have hidden an undisclosed number of black rings throughout these little islands. You have to collect 5 of them and make your way the tower on the next island. Obviously, this won't be interesting without a little bit of a challenge. The waters between these two islands are infested with a large number of sharks. Try your best to not get eaten. Toodles. And with that, Fuguki disappeared with a puff of smoke. And it wasn't the shadow clone, it was just a body flicker. But, anyways, he disappeared. And Naruto and Itachi and Anko looked at each other and were like, and Anko was like, "Did he say we can start?" And Naruto noticed that the other teams were having the same confusion, and at the same time, he and Itachi were like, "I think it was implied." And quickly before the other participants got wind of what was going on, they zoomed across the water at max speed using the water walking exercise, obviously. And a massive shark that was larger size than any of them had ever seen, like even in books, jumped across the water and was about to close its jaws on them. And the reason why they had never seen this shark before was because they didn't really get a chance to extensively study about the other villages and the species present there. They were only focused on training to improve their skills for the Chunin exams, and they made the mistake of not studying about the other villages. But even though the shark was the size of a small whale, it was not exactly a problem for them. Uh, and in Naruto, he used scorch release extremely steaming murder against the shark. But he quickly realized that the shark was too large for such a jutsu to work. Of course, there were several burnt patches, but that jutsu couldn't stop the shark entirely. And then Itachi was like, "What are you doing, Naruto? Think simpler. Help me chop it down." And Anko was like, "What about me?" And Naruto was like, Anko, summon as many poisonous snakes as you can and have them bite the shark. And Anko did as she was told, and Naruto and Itachi created several wind blades with their hands and blitzed across the shark, slicing it to bits. I mean, like not to bits, but then like its fins. They sliced its fins so that it couldn't like keep its balance. Since it was too large for them to completely slice through the wind blade. And while Naruto could do that, it would take too long for him to do it, and another team could possibly get the jump on him. So Naruto had to hold back a little in order to watch and see if the other teams were uh, trying to launch an attack on his team. So once the fins were cut, the snakes that Anko sent bit the shark all over its body, and uh, unable to move and getting sluggish from the poison, the shark just sunk to the ground. And Anko was like, "That's good, one obstacle out of the way." And Itachi was like, "Don't jinx it, Anko." And Anko just smirked at him. So they ran the rest of the way to the first little island, but they saw that a lot of team members were already there as they had crossed them while they were battling the shark. They wisely decided to go to a different island instead and look there, as it would be a waste of their time to fight over some rings on one little island just to let it slip by in another team's hands. So they decided to find a less crowded island to search for the rings. After all, Fuguki didn't give them a time limit. Anko wondered about this, but the intelligence of her teammates seemed to be rubbing off of her, and she deduced that hiding the time limit was also possibly part of the test, as you always have to complete a mission as fast as possible, since you never know when it might be too late and causing your efforts to be wasted. So, anyways, they made their way to the second island without much event, and as they made their way onto it, they saw that another team was there who apparently had the same idea as them. He saw that it was a team from the Mist Village, and and by the way, he refers to Naruto here. So, as per his memory, the members were uh, Zabuza Momochi, Raiga Kurosaki, and Kisame Hoshigaki. And by the way, guys, remember Zabuza and Raiga already had their swords, the Executioner Blade and the Thunder Swords, the Thunder Fang Swords, or whatever they're called. But Kisame only got Samehada after he went rogue. Like, he killed Fuguki, Suikazan, and he took the Samehada and he ran off. So Kisame doesn't have Samehada here. And also, remember, you know, you might think that Kisame is going to be a little bit out of character here, but then he only became like, the brutal and sadistic person that he is in the anime after he went rogue. So, like right now, he is a bit more like serious and calm. So, if you remember like Kisame's flashbacks, you would like, notice that. So, anyways, Raiga turned to the team and was like, "Ah, looks like we got the fresh meat now. What the hell is Konoha doing sending Genin who are fresh out of the academy into these dangerous exams?" And Zabuza swung his executioner blade menacingly and was like, "Shall I kill them?" And Kisame was like, "It does seem quite foolish to send these little children to a place where they can be killed. But so far they have proved themselves capable as they have passed the first stage of the tuning exams. Perhaps they're one of those prodigy children, prodigy teams." And Raiga was like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever. The team that they defeated must have been trash anyway. It seems Konoha's standards are dropping." And anyways, Zabuza was like, "Last chance for for you three to go away now, if you don't want to experience a premature death." And at this, Raiga chirped in and was like, "I'll organize the funerals." Anyways, Anko was a little bit unnerved by their sharp teeth because most of the seven swordsmen of the mist have sharp teeth, and they looked a little bit menacing. But then she gathered herself as fearing sharp teeth was silly compared to what Orochimaru put her through. So anyways, through all of this, Naruto stepped up and was like, and he was like, "I'm sorry, but I can't let that happen. You have two options: either run away or fight us." And Raiga was like, "Well, it's your funeral." And Zabuza was like, "You'll regret this, kids. We fight to the death." And Itachi simply narrowed his eyes at this. Anyways, Naruto, Itachi, and Anko were basically thinking on how they should take this fight, and they all pretty much came up with the same idea. They each would take one person. Naruto would take Kisame, Itachi would take Zabuza, and Anko would take Raiga. Anyways, like all three of them simultaneously engaged their chosen opponents, and the reason why Naruto got Kisame was because through what the team observed with Kisame's team dynamic was that Kisame seemed to be the leader, and also Naruto was able to sense an extreme amount of chakra in Kisame. Not as high as his because he had like about the amount of the three tails, but Kisame was around had the chakra levels around the level of Shukaku. The one tail. So yeah, Kisame was pretty damn powerful. So first we will be talking about Naruto's fight with Kisame. And first they engaged in a taijutsu spar, and Naruto had his dance of the camellia activated, or whatever you can say for that. Like Naruto was using his dance of the camellia, so like he had that arm bone sword thingy in his hand. So yeah, he was fighting against Kisame with that. Like when Kisame saw Naruto use that, he drew his katana and was like, "A Kaguya, you don't seem to have that hair color and those two red dots on your forehead." Saying nothing, Naruto just continued fighting, and Kisame was like, so you're going to be that way, huh? Let's see how you respond to this." And Kisame started channeling chakra through his sword. Not any element, just a plain chakra. And Naruto surprised him by doing the same. Not the same, but instead of just plain chakra, he used wind chakra in his bone. And Kisame's sword snapped like a twig. And Kisame was like, impressive. For someone your age, I would never guess that you would have learned elemental manipulation to such an extent. However, you made a little mistake. And Naruto looked around to see that he and Kisame were standing on the water as their spar had led them quite a distance away from the island. And Naruto was like, perhaps I don't have as much experience as I thought myself to have. It seems he lured me here. That means his element is most likely to be water. So yeah, he was just basically thinking that, and Kisame was like, "Now I am in my own element, and you are powerless." And Naruto was like, "Not necessarily true." And he basically gathered his lightning chakra and was like, "Chidori stream," and he channeled the lightning chakra through the water, and since he was a power supply, it wasn't affecting him. And seeing what Naruto was doing, Kisame jumped up in the air to avoid the lightning current. But as he was falling down, he noticed that Naruto hadn't stopped channeling current into the water. So, in order to, disturb Naruto's efforts, Kisame did a few hand signs and was like, "Water style, water shockwave." And he propelled himself higher into the air by unleashing a jet of water out of his mouth, while simultaneously targeting this at Naruto, and it created a huge wave of Naruto that of water that was directed at Naruto, and seeing this, Naruto had to jump out of the way, and his and because he broke his focus, he stopped channeling electricity into the water. So yeah, and Kisame was like, how do you like that, brat?" And Naruto just frowned, knowing that this wasn't going to be easy. And Kisame did a few more hand signs, and he was like, "Water cell, water shark bomb," and he launched the jutsu at Naruto, and Naruto activated his boil release unrivaled strength, and he also used Tsunade's technique to make her, punches more powerful, and he punched straight through the jutsu at Kisame, which Kisame definitely did not expect. And just as Naruto was about to approach him, Kisame jumped back, but he saw that quicker than he could have precedented, a bone extended from Naruto's clenched fist straight at Kisame's chest, and it actually scraped him as he didn't get out of the way fast enough to avoid it. And it created a large gash on his chest, from which blood was freely flowing out. And guys, remember, Kisame didn't have Samehada, which could heal him from this, so he had to suffer the pain. And Kisame yelled in pain, and he was like, "Ah, what the hell, brat!" And Naruto just, continued his assault impassively. And as Kisame gained some more distance, uh, he did a few hand signs and slammed his hand on the ground, causing five sharks just as big as the one that Naruto and his team first faced, um, to start attacking Naruto. And Naruto narrowed his eyes at this, and he put his fingers together in a cross position and was like, "Shadow Clone Jutsu." And five shadow clones popped out, and each of them engaged one of the sharks, as Naruto focused his attention back on Kisame. And Kisame was like, "Really? You're gonna send shadow clones to deal with my summons? That's a ballsy move." And without listening to Kisame, Naruto raised his hands and was like, "Plasma release, melting raindrops." And Kisame was like, "What the hell? How many Keki Genkai does this kid have?" As he saw huge globules of plasma, um, you know, coming from the air and raining onto him. He tried to use the water prison jutsu on himself to guard himself, but then the plasma, went straight through that as though it was nothing. So Kisame decided to swim underwater, and he swam deeper and deeper, hoping that the plasma would not reach him. And luckily, after he reached 500 meters below the sea, below the surface of the sea, the plasma finally fizzled out, and Kisame went, swam back up to the surface at extreme speeds and jumped out of the surface of the water like a bullet. And Naruto pointed his fingers at Kisame's, flying body, and was like, "Wind bullet jutsu." Sorry, wind style, wind bullet jutsu. And he fired, you know, wind bullets from each of his fingers at the flying Kisame until one of them hit him, causing him to drop straight back onto the sea. And getting up, Kisame noticed that his clothes were in tatters, and he still had that nasty gash across his chest, which was in which the pain had become much more severe because of the salty seawater going inside. But Kisame decided to continue fighting, and Naruto saw this inside, and he was like, "Swift release, unrivaled speed." And he went at extreme speeds that Kisame could not follow, especially in his dazed state, straight towards Kisame. And he was like, "I think you have fought long enough." And he gave him a chop at the back of the neck and knocked him out. And he carried his body back to the island. So yeah, that's it for Naruto's fight, guys. And now it's time for Itachi's fight against Zabuza. So, anyways, Zabuza looked at Itachi and was like, so I get to kill the Uchiha kid, huh?" And Itachi was like, "Are your thoughts always so brutal?" And Zabuza was like, got a problem with that brat? And Itachi was like, no, I was merely asking a question. And he pointed his finger at Zabuza as he activated his Sharingan, and he was like, you know, you should really stop underestimating your opponent, Zabuza. And Zabuza, um, knowing that you should not look at into an Uchiha Sharingan in order to be able to stand a chance in a fight against them. Of course, unless you were another Uchiha or you had some kind of dojutsu that was resistant to Sharingan Genjutsu. But anyways, besides that was besides the point, as Zabuza did not have any of those. So Zabuza charged towards Itachi, brandishing his executioner blade, and Itachi got a katana to deflect it. He used a katana to deflect it. Since he knew that he couldn't match the force of the blade head on, he would simply change the direction of it so it would veer off to the side a little bit, and miss chopping his body. And anyways, Zabuza was like, "You're pretty talented with the sword, brat. Unlucky for you, my executioner blade has one job: to get heads rolling." And with this, he slashed at Itachi's waist, and he cleaved his body into two, and he saw the parts of Itachi's body fall to the ground, and he was like, "Brat, I'm almost sorry that he died. He had so much potential." And then he looked back to see that a bunch of crows were flying out of Itachi's corpse as they reassembled themselves, like behind Zabuza. And Zabuza was like, "What kind of sorcery is this? Genjutsu? Uh, a kid like you can use genjutsu like that?" And Itachi was like, "I told you, you should not underestimate your opponents, Zabuza." As he pointed his finger at him again, and Zabuza dispelled, the genjutsu, but then he forgot that Itachi had placed two genjutsus on him, and he only dispelled one of them, so the other genjutsu was still active. As Zabuza was navigating his way through this one, Itachi stabbed him straight through the gut against a tree on the island, and the pain of the stab broke Zabuza out of the genjutsu, and and then he was like, "What? I was beaten so easily." And Itachi was like, "Perhaps the battle would have lasted longer if you didn't underestimate me in the first place." And Zabuza was like, Shut up, brat." And Itachi just left him there with his katana pinned through his gut, because Itachi did have another katana to use, and he did not want to deal with Zabuza still finding it within himself to fight, and trying to fight with a hole in his gut. So he just left him that way. So now we move on to Anko's fight, and Raiga was like, "Oh, a cute little girl. I love arranging funerals for children." And he charged at her with his lightning blades. And Anko, not having any special blade to attack with, to retaliate with, she just pulled out a kunai, and she basically defended against the sword, which ended up being a huge mistake as the swords were coated in lightning and they easily cut through her kunai, causing Anko to jump back as a small cut appeared on her forearm. And she thought, so it's going to be like that, huh? So I suppose I'll just have to dodge the blades then. And Raiga was like, "Oi, Missy, where are you looking?" As he crossed his swords against each other, and a lightning ball, um, you know, formed between them. He was like, a lightning ball. And he launched the lightning ball towards, Anko, who easily was able to dodge it. And Anko was like, "My turn now. Fire style, fire dragon jutsu." And a massive fire dragon emerged from her hands straight at Raiga. And Raiga tried to avoid it, but then Anko used fire manipulation to actually guide the dragon and Raiga had no choice, but he used his swords to try to deflect it. And he sliced straight through the fire dragon using his lightning swords, but they heated up to extreme levels, and he was like, "Ooh, hot, 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 hot! There was some fire jutsu you got there, kid." And he dipped his red hot blades into the sea, and he was like, "Luckily, I have this next to me." And Anko was like, "I don't have monstrous chakra reserves like Naruto or Itachi. I can only do about three or four more of those fire dragons before I run out, and I cannot run out so early into the exam. Uh, Otherwise, if we get into more fights, I'll be useless. And I also have to stick to ranged attacks since I can't stand up against his swords in close combat." And thinking this, Anko made a resolve, and made a decision, and she jumped as far as she could from Raiga. And Raiga, not noticing what she was doing, as she clasped her hands together, just looked at her, with a stupid expression on his face. And Anko was like, "Earth style, collapsing land." And the ground beneath Raiga collapsed, and he tried to jump away, but then that land collapsed as well, in a spider web kind of pattern. And Anko was thinking, "Thankfully, Naruto taught me that move. It only uses earth manipulation to create the cracks." But the earth collapses. The land beneath him collapses because of its own weight. And anyways, yeah, that's what she was thinking. And Raiga fell into the hole, and he was a little bit disoriented by what happened, which allowed Anko to fire another earth jutsu at him, taking advantage of the demolished terrain that she was on. And she was like, "Earth style landslide." And she did a similar thing as she did before, using the weight of the earth to fuel the jutsu so that she didn't have to waste too much chakra. And as Raiga saw the boulders approaching, he tried to run, but he was caught under the weight of them, causing Anko to realize one thing: Raiga had extremely bad eyesight. It was a shame that she had realized this after the fight was over, but then she still ended up the winner of the fight, so she didn't really complain about it. And yeah, that's how they defeated Kisame's team. So they searched the island for the rings, and they found two of them. So Naruto used sealing jutsu to seal the rings into a seal on his arm, and yeah, they were off after that. So as they were leaving, Itachi turned to Anko and was like, "Do you think it's alright to just leave them like that? It might come to bite us in the back." And Naruto was like, "While I do take these exams seriously, there's no need for unnecessary killing here. After all, this is only an exam and this is not real war." And Itachi was like, "I suppose you're right." And Anko was like, "The sun's already setting, but we've barely covered 40 kilometers today. We still have a long way to go, so I suppose we should take a rest on one of the more secluded islands. It's best we do that so that we don't get jumped by any of the other teams during the night." And Naruto's like, "Good thinking, Anko. The only one among us who can see well in the night is Itachi because of his Sharingan. Perhaps we can find ways around that in the future, but relying on Itachi or your snakes to guide us through the dark is not a very good option for us." And Itachi was like, "I agree. I'd hate to be responsible for our failure because I didn't guide you well." And Naruto was like, "Indeed. Not that I do not have faith in you, Itachi, but it's best that we don't rely on you too much." And from beside them, Anko was like, "Are you sure you two are only 8 like me? You seriously speak like a bunch of old people." And Itachi turned to respond, and he was like, "What would you expect? He's the son of the Hokage and I'm the son of the Uchiha clan head. This type of vocabulary and way of speaking is basically crammed into us by our parents. and the other politicians. And Anko was like, I suppose that makes sense. And they kept going, and after a while of traveling, they covered about another 10 kilometers. And they saw an island that was shrouded with more quantities of mist. Had quite a few trees compared to the other islands, and also had a few embankments on the borders. It was rather small, but it did seem to be well hidden, and it did seem to be their best option. So the team made their way to that island, and luckily it was empty. So they basically set up camp there, and Naruto was like, "You both rest up while I use water release to catch some fish." And Itachi was like, "Won't you take rest?" And Naruto was like, "I use shadow clones to sleep. Remember, I already have one sleeping in the hotel, so I'll pop it now and make another one to sleep with you guys." And Itachi was like, your trick of using the Sharingan to avoid sleeping is actually quite useful as it gives you a lot more time. I should start doing that too." And Naruto was like, "I suppose you should try that on your own time though. Because even if you can sustain the Shadow Clone with your chakra throughout the night, I don't think you'd have enough left in the morning." And Itachi was like, "Well, I suppose I should train to increase my chakra reserves then." And Naruto was like, "You should. We'll do that once we're back home." And Itachi just nodded, and Naruto began catching the fish. And he made his way back to Itachi and Anko with 40 fish, give or take a few, in a bag. And he had another bag full of firewood. And Anko's like, "Naruto, you shouldn't have. You should have asked us to get the firewood." And Naruto turned away a little sheepishly and mumbled something. And Anko was like, "What is that?" And Naruto was like, I forgot," causing Anko to stare at him incredulously. And she was like, "Forgot? You forgot to do something." And Naruto turned to Itachi and was like, "Is it really as surprising as she makes it out to be?" And Itachi just nodded his head, causing Naruto to sigh. And Naruto's like, "I suppose I have been a little bit uptight. I should really start to loosen up a little bit." And Itachi was like, "That would be nice. Just don't loosen up too much and get yourself killed. That wouldn't be good." And this caused Naruto to chuckle a little bit. And then Itachi turned to the bag of fish that Naruto was carrying, and he was like, "Isn't that a bit excessive? I know you started eating a lot more than usual, but me and Anko will eat like what, two or three fish apiece. Then that leaves 34 to 36 fish for you." And Naruto sighed, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know how to solve this problem. Having the amount of chakra that I do causes me to need to eat a lot. And my chakra reserves are only growing, so I don't know how I would be able to solve this problem later." And this caused Anko and Itachi to look at Naruto in sympathy, since the sheer amount of food that Naruto needed just to stay alive was extremely large, and it was only getting larger. So they didn't know like whether, uh, you know, like basically Itachi and Anko were thinking like, if the amount he eats is only going to get larger, then Konoha might even order his death because they're not able to support the amount of food he requires. And, to any random person, it would sound pretty humorous that Konoha would kill such a resource just because he requires more food. But this was a very real possibility, and it was a grave one to Itachi and Anko, and obviously to Naruto. So, anyways, once they all were fed and watered, Itachi and Anko went to sleep along with Naruto's shadow clone. And Naruto, deciding to keep another shadow clone, as watch, he decided to like roam around the island for a bit, until he sat on the coast of the island, and he looked into the water to see a small animal struggling. He wanted to look away and continue focusing on the exam, but despite his stoic demeanor, he still had a really kind heart. Naruto quickly ran and jumped into the water to save the fox. It was a fox. So, anyways, I'm pretty sure you guys can see where I'm going with this. And Naruto, like losing all sense of common sense or rational, he jumped in to save it. Even though he could have used a water cell jutsu instead. And yeah, he basically held the fox to his chest as he kicked back upwards, and as he broke through the surface of the sea, he looked out. He climbed onto the land and looked at the fox in his arms. It seemed to be like not like an adult fox kit. So yeah, and it also seemed like it was about to drown. So Naruto gently performed CPR on the fox by pressing its little chest to you know make it spit out the water that it inhaled, until the fox gave cute little coughs and you know slowly opened its eyes, and its eyes were wide and green, the same color as Naruto's. I mean, like the irises were green, while the cornea and sclera were like slightly yellow, or like a pale yellow. So, anyways, Naruto was quite mesmerized by the fox, as he felt powerful energy coming from it, and he was like, "You're not a normal fox, are you?" And as the little fox cleared its throat to remove any residual water, it spoke up in a gravelly tone, as if its voice hadn't been used in a long time, and it was like, "You are right. I am a summoning fox." And even with the fox's, like the gravelly sound that the fox's throat made as it spoke, Naruto could guess from the voice that it was a female, and obviously, while performing CPR, he did not look down at the part to, confirm his gender because he wasn't focused on that. And, anyways, Naruto was like, I see, so how did you get here? I don't believe any of the villages, as far as I'm aware, have a fox summoning contract. So, do you have a summoner? And the little fox was like, no, the Fox clan never had a summoner. Many have tried to sign the Fox summoning contract, but we refused. If anyone tried to force us, we killed them on the spot. And it kind of looked at Naruto a little defensively, as though daring him to ask it to, you know, form a summoning contract with him. And Naruto got the hint and was like, "No, no, you misunderstand me. I never intended to form a summoning contract with you. I just saw you drowning and decided that I had to save you." And the little fox relaxed a bit and was like, "I see. Well, I give you my thanks for saving me. Although I hope you could forgive my distrust in you initially. Our fox clan was used a lot by humans. We are normally a peaceful clan of summons, but several times humans staged attacks on our clan so that we would wipe out their enemies. A rather cold hearted but objectively effective approach to dealing with stronger enemies." And like its head basically was drooping down sadly, and Naruto was like, "I see, that's quite unfortunate. Though you do seem much too young to know all of this. It sounds like something that happened several years ago." And the fox was like, "You see, the leader of our fox clan is actually my mother. So I had to learn everything about our clan, which included their history and their relations with humans and the other summoning clans." And Naruto was like, "I see. So that means we're in quite similar situations. I am the son of the Hokage of the Leaf Village. And in the best interest of maintaining the face of what the child of Hokage should be like, the council made me learn all about Konoha's history and its relations with other nations. And then the fox was like, I suppose it's a small world. And Naruto just smiled at that, and he was like, "It is." Anyway, what are you even doing out here right now? Shouldn't you be in the summoning world since you have no summoners? And at this, the fox was like, "Well, I suppose my own curiosity led me here. I was roaming around the border of the island, and I was caught off by a jutsu, and I fell into the sea. Unfortunately, while I can swim, I can't swim in the rough waters of the sea, and this caused me to almost drown. I must thank you again for saving my life." And Naruto was like, "Don't mention it." And suddenly an idea popped into Naruto's head, and he turned to the little fox and he was like, "By any chance, are you related to the Kyuubi?" And the little fox was like, "Why would you suggest such a thing?" And Naruto was like, "Well, you see, my sister is the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki, so I won't really pass up any opportunities to help her with that situation." And like after eyeing him suspiciously for a little bit, the little fox, like, she nodded and was like, Your guess is correct. We are actually descendants of the Kyuubi. However, we are only half Biju and half regular fox." And Naruto was like, "But how is that possible? I didn't know the Biju could reproduce. They don't seem to have any genitalia present on them." And the little fox was like, "Well, I haven't grown old enough to know the answer to that question, but whatever I told you so far is true." And Naruto was like, "I see. I apologize. I was just so caught up in talking to you that I forgot that you are still quite young." And the fox was like, "Anyways, your apologies are accepted. So continuing further, the Kyuubi mated with several vixens over the years, and their offspring became a part of the fox summoning clan. However, I personally have never met the Kyuubi, so I apologize. I can't really offer you any advice as to how to help with your sister's situation." And Naruto's like, "I see. So does the Kyuubi have a name? I suppose it's likely to respect us more if we know its name." And the fox was like, "Yes, all of us summoning a clan foxes know what his name is. However, it's not in our place to speak it or reveal it to other people." And Naruto just nodded in acceptance and was like, I should have figured it would have been something like that." And and he turned to go away, and he was like, "Do you have a way to return home?" And the fox was like, "Yeah, I should just be able to reverse summon." And she put her chakra to create the reverse summoning seal. However, it didn't work. And Naruto was like, "Any problems?" And the fox was like, "It's nothing. I'm just not able to get the summoning seal right." And Naruto was like, "Perhaps you haven't had much to eat since you came here, since you almost drowned. Would you like me to make you some fish?" And the fox nodded eagerly, and went along with him. And Naruto turned to the fox and was like, "My name is Naruto, by the way. What is yours? I forgot that I hadn't introduced myself." And the fox was like, "I apologize as well. My name is Midori." And Naruto was like, green, just like your eyes." And the fox was like, "Indeed." So, anyways, after they, ate their fish together, suddenly a large summoning seal appeared, uh, you know, in front of Naruto and the fox. And the little fox was like, "Oh no, Naruto, run!" But by the time she said that, whoever was summoned already appeared, and this was a huge white fox with green eyes, the same color as Midori's. And as it pawed its way towards Naruto, it seemed to walk in a regal fashion, and it spoke to Naruto with uh, a dominating voice, and it was like, "Speak, human. What is your business with my daughter?" And Naruto's like, "Your daughter, so that must mean you're the leader of the fox summoning clan." And the fox was like, "That is correct, yes. Now please tell me how you know this information and how you came into contact with my daughter before I smite you." And Naruto was like, "I saved her when she was about to drown." And the Mama Fox was like, "What? Midori, is this true?" And a Midori pawed at the ground nervously and nodded. And suddenly, the angry aura around the Mama Fox lessened a lot, and she became a lot more calm and was like, "I apologize for misjudging your intentions with my daughter. I hope you understand that due to several centuries of of our exploitation by humans, we cannot trust them easily." And Naruto's like, "No problems here." And the Mama Fox was like, "Speak, what would you like as a reward for saving my daughter?" And Naruto was like, "I apologize if this offends you, Lady Fox Leader, if I may call you that. But I prefer earning things rather than getting things by reward. And I did not save your daughter for a reward, I saved her because she was in danger. So I would just like to return to my friends and get out of your hair. I have no wish to trouble you with any of my requests." And the Mama Fox was awed with Naruto's humility and unselfishness before she responded. And she was like, "I'm impressed by your actions and your words, young human. You may refer to me as Lady Shiro. Now, Midori, I would say that this human is quite deserving of signing our summoning contract, is he not?" And Midori was like, "I couldn't agree more, mother." And with a small poof from her paw, she unsealed the summoning scroll for, the Fox clan. And Naruto is actually pretty shocked by what was happening here. And he turned to the mother and he was like, "Are you sure you'd want me to sign your summoning contract?" And Shiro was like, "It would be an honor to have you as our summoner. I don't believe I have ever met any human as noble as you. And before you ask, this is not us gifting you access to our summoning contract. This is us forming a contract with each other because of our mutual respect for each other. I believe you deserve the honor of being a fox summoner. Now please sign the scroll." And Naruto nodded and he bit his thumb and he signed his name and handprint and whatever. So Shiro was like, "Why don't you test it out once? See if you can summon my daughter." And she basically reverse summoned Midori for the purpose of the experiment. And Naruto like applied a small amount of chakra to the summoning jutsu, and out popped Midori. And Shiro nodded to herself and was like, "Very good. From today onwards, Midori will be your familiar summon. Like how Bunta is to Jiraiya, Manda is to Orochimaru, and Katsuyu is to Tsunade." And Naruto's like, "You know of them?" And Shiro's like, "Of course. We don't like to interact often with the human world, but that doesn't mean that we don't keep tabs on what's going on in the human world." And Naruto was like, "I suppose that's reasonable. I'll summon the foxes when I need them then." And the Shiro was like, and we would be happy to help you. And Naruto just nodded and left to go back to his team because it was almost dawn. And once he, reached his team, they all like woke up and got ready and stuff. And they completed the rest of the second part of the exam without much event. So, anyways, the teams that made it to through the second stage, uh, like there were 6 teams that made it, and the teams there was one team from the Stone Village, 2 teams from the Cloud Village, 2 teams from the Leaf Village, and 1 team from the Mist Village. So, anyways, Fuguki Suikaizan showed up and was like, "Alright, you brats made it through the second stage. Some congratulations are in order. Now, the next stage will be the third and the final stage of the Chunin exams. This will be the individual round where each participant fights another participant one on one. The three participants, among the 9 participants that make it through the first round of the third stage, will be divided into groups of 3 who will each fight battle royale style matches. After this, the 3 winners fight a battle royale style match as a finale, and whoever comes out on top from that will be the winner of the Chunin exams. Now, the members who have passed the second stage are from the Stone Village, Kurotsuchi, Akatsuchi, and Deidara. From the Cloud Village, we have 2 teams, Yugito, Darui, and C, and the second team is Omoi, Karui, and Samui. From the Leaf Village, we have 2 teams again. The first team is Naruto, Itachi, and Anko, and the second one is Kimimaro, Shisui, and Yakumo. And finally, we have one from our own Mist Village, whose participants are Zabuza, Raiga, and Kisame. Now, all of your names have been written on chits and put in this basket. You will each be called individually to the room over there to pick your chit in order to choose your opponent. Before each participant draws their chit, the chit with their name will be removed in order to avoid a participant receiving their own name. So, after this, everyone picked their own little chits, and the pairings for the matches will be revealed in the next part. And guys, if you want any specific pairings from the names I gave in the matches, then you can drop your comments. And like I'm gonna make it such that Naruto and Itachi last all the way till the end. Anko can if you want her to, but she can like lose during the second round if you don't want her to make it to the third round. So, anyways, like after everyone drew their chits, Fuguki was like, "Alright, brats. In order to make preparations for the final stage of the tuning exams, we require a month to carry everything out. You may use this time to train and research on your opponents and their tactics. However, you may not leave the borders of the hidden mist village." And at this, everyone nodded and walked out of the room. And Anko was like, seems you have some time to prepare. What should we do? And Naruto was like, I should really work more on my Shikotsumyaku bloodline. I haven't made as much progress on it as I would like. Perhaps I should find some collaborative jutsus with the Fox clan as well. And by the way, guys, Naruto did tell Itachi and Anko about his new summoning contract. So now each of them had one summoning contract. Anko had snakes, Itachi had crows, and Naruto had foxes. And Itachi was like, it would have been nice if we could have gone back to Konoha and asked some of our senseis for advice. And Anko was like, isn't your mother still here, helping out the other team from the Leaf, the one with Shisui and Kimimaro and Yakumo? And Itachi nodded and was like, Yeah, but that's only one, and Orochimaru sensei is the type who does his own thing. He didn't even come here to help us out with the tuning exams. And like after this conversation was went as it did, Naruto randomly spoke up and was like, "We should get some ramen from Ichiraku once we go back to Konoha." And Itachi was like, "You know, Naruto, for all your genius, you are quite a ramen addict." And Naruto was like, "Of course I am. Ramen is the ultimate food. It is cheap, it is healthy, it is tasty, it is fast, and it is filling. You can't complain with about a food which has qualities like that." And Itachi was like, I suppose your logic does make sense. So, anyways, they all went to their hotel rooms and freshened up after the second exam finished. And suddenly Naruto heard a voice in his head. It was like, "Ah, so you're the one I meet now, brat." And Naruto quickly closed his eyes and visualized the inside of his mind, and he saw a huge pair of red eyes looking at him, and he looked up at it and was like, "What are you doing here, Kyuubi?" And that's where I'm going to end this video here, guys, and it's going to be a bit of a cliffhanger. So, anyways, that was the end to part 5 of this series, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, share, subscribe, and all that stuff. Comment down your thoughts on this video and any ideas you'd like me to implement, and also comment down your ideas for future what ifs that I can do. And by the way, here is the order of how I'm going to do my what ifs. For now, right? So after this series is complete, I am going to do the Naruto and Percy Jackson and the Olympians crossover, and afterwards I'm gonna do Naruto and High School DxD crossover, and that one's gonna be a harem for all the harem fans. So, anyways, the one after that is going to be what if Naruto was a scientist. So, yeah, that's those are the next three what ifs in order. So, yeah, that's all I have to say, and thanks for watching, guys.